Sentences 25 through 29 present different types of compounds: compound subjects and objects, compound predicates, compound sentences, and compound complements. In sentence 25, they killed Desu and his friend. They is the subject, killed is the verb, and both Desu and his friend are objects connected by the conjunction and. Desu and his friend are grammatically equal in this sentence. In other words, they are both objects receiving the action killed. In the same way that we can have a compound object, we can also have a compound subject. Take a look at this example. Desu and his friend killed them. Desu and his friend are both subjects who performed the action of killing. Sentence 26, they killed Desu and made her sad, has a compound predicate. This means that the subject is performing two different actions. Compound predicates are helpful when we want to describe two actions being performed at the same time, or when one action is performed immediately after another. Here are two more examples. The musician played his guitar and sang. Calvin picked up a rock and threw it at the tiger. Note that when the second action in a compound predicate happens after the first action, we often add then before the second action. For example, Eric took a shower and then ate breakfast. Sentence 27, they killed Desu and it made her sad, is a compound sentence. It contains two independent clauses. The first independent clause is they killed Desu. The second independent clause is it made her sad. Note that each clause has its own subject and its own predicate. Using the coordinating conjunction and, we are able to connect these two shorter clauses to form that single sentence. They killed Desu and it made her sad. Note that in a compound sentence, we usually add a comma after the first independent clause. But in very short compound sentences, it is okay not to use one. Compare the shorter example sentence with the longer one. Mark shot me and I died. Or Mark shot me, comma, and I died. In the next example, it's a longer sentence, so we really should use a comma. Mark threw the gun away, comma, and the police never found it. Sentence 28. It made them kill Desu and find her gives us an example of a compound complement. Let's mark its parts. It is the subject, made is the verb, and kill Desu and find her is the compound complement. Take a look at one more example. The old man made us sit down and wait for the police. Sentence 29. He loves her, she loves Desu, and he killed Desu is similar to sentence 27, but it contains 3 independent clauses. If a sentence contains 3 or more independent clauses, each clause will be separated by a comma, except for the last clause, which will have and before it. Let's look at the parts of the sentence. For the first clause, he is the subject, loves is the verb, and her is the object. We then place a comma before the second clause. In the second clause, we have the subject she, the verb loves, and the object desu. Again, we place a comma before the third clause, and because it is the last clause, we also add the coordinating conjunction and. Finally, the third clause has the subject he, the verb killed, and the object desu. Here's one more example. He gave her the key. She unlocked the door, and they went inside.